Hi, Fran Ammons here. Thank you for inviting me into your office and your home. This morning we're going to be speaking to you about acupuncture and fibromyalgia and how acupuncture can help the pain. Multiple studies have already been done in reference to acupuncture and fibromyalgia, and it has proven that acupuncture has positive effects on the body. The researchers cannot understand how it works or why it works, but they know it does work. Complex changes in the brain and the spinal cord and the communication between the two happen. And what do we know about these changes? We do know that the nerve fibers are stimulated and signal the brain and the spinal cord to release hormones that block the pain and make the patient feel better. Now, fibromyalgia patients have many symptoms, and the symptoms are diagnosed, and the only way it can be diagnosed if 4 different locations of pain are found in the body. And it's the upper body, the lower body, the posterior, and the anterior. In all 4 of those areas, pain must occur in order to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And then there are a series of points that are tested also, 10 exact points that test positive for pain. Not all 10 at the same time, but most of them. Now again, we said fibromyalgia patients have much pain. Fibro refers to the fibrous tissue of the body, which is the tendons and the ligaments and the bursa. This is where most of the pain occurs, where attachments of ligaments and tendons are. Now, the fibromyalgia patient has a very low tolerance to pain, and acupuncture can actually increase the pain threshold for a fibromyalgia patient. And the threshold is meaning stopping the pain. There were several studies done. 2 exact studies were done of brain images that proved that this is definitely true. And this has proven, again, to give the fibromyalgia patient many, many days and months of pain-free living. Along these lines, another brain scan and study was done in, Britain. And it showed that acupuncture can actually deactivate the pain matrix of the body, which equals less pain. With the TCM technique, acupuncture works in correcting the flow of qi. Now, this word is spelled Qi, but is pronounced Chee. So the flow of the qi travels through some pathways called meridians. The definition of meridian is pathway. So picture a river, and the river is flowing into the tributaries. And if the river of water is not sufficient enough, the tributaries suffer. Think of the tributaries of our body as the arms and the legs. And the core of our body is the center for holding all of our blood, like the lake is for holding the water. So that makes sense. When there's too much water in the lake, the water overflows on the banks. It does the same in the body. We call that excess. And that will overflow and cause pain. If there's too little water, then the tributaries dry up in the lake. And in the body, the blood basically doesn't reach the tributaries, and it can cause numbness, burning, tingling, and more pain. So that's a synopsis of comparing acupuncture to a lake to help you understand better the medicine of acupuncture. I used to say acupuncture is definitely a medicine. It is not a miracle. It is a medicine. But after many, many years, 10 years exactly that I've been in acupuncture, I now name all of my talks or my speeches acupuncture, a medicine, and a miracle, because I've witnessed both. And I'm so glad you're here so you can learn more about this blessed medicine of acupuncture. So what are its benefits? Well, the first benefit that you will experience as a patient after receiving acupuncture treatments is better sleep. The second is relaxation. The third is possible immune system improvement, because the immune system has no pump like the heart does. For instance, the heart has the body that it can pump the blood through, and the heart is the pumper. It pumps the blood through the body. The immune system has no pump. The immune system's pump is movement itself. That's why doctors tell you, and everyone in the world tells you, you need to exercise. Because exercise moves the lymph system, and the lymph is the fluid of the immune system, which causes you to heal faster and to not get sick as often. So the more exercise you do, the more acupuncture you do, the more massage therapy you do, all of that moves the lymph, and all of that increases your immune system. Okay, moving along, it also detoxifies you. So I tell my patients, when you go home after a treatment, make sure that you drink plenty of water. Excuse me. Because water will wash out the toxins that we have released through urination. So make sure you drink lots of water after a treatment. And before you come, also make sure that you eat. Because some patients can feel faint after a treatment if their stomach is empty, because they're moving a lot of energy, and they need energy to move energy. Okay? Okay, the risks are rare. In fact, the risks are so few that most people say that they've never experienced anything negative. Now, in China, there have been pneumothoraxes where a lung has collapsed. But the reason the lung has collapsed is because apparently the acupuncturist nicked the lung and caused a pneumothorax. That's only happened briefly. But I really can't understand how it happens, because you're taught never to drive a pin in straight in on the back or on the front, which would obviously nick the lung. So you don't have to worry about that with an acupuncture treatment here. Of course, the risks are low. There's no negative interactions with other treatments, including any kind of medications you may be taking. And it's extremely mild side effects. Like sometimes if you don't eat enough, you could faint. Or sometimes you just need to sit in a chair after the treatment because you feel a little woozy. And I tell everybody, it's nothing woo-woo. Qi is the same energy that you examine when you're checking the heart of the patient on a cardiogram. It's exactly the same thing. So just know this. There's nothing woo-woo about acupuncture. It is a medicine, and it is a miracle. Okay, when you come into the office, you will also have your pulse and your tongue checked. And on your pulse, there are 3 different places on your wrist which we check the internal environment of the organs. And they're all covered in the pulse, all 10 of them. So you will get that explained to you much more in depth when you visit the office. And on the tongue, I'll be checking for the size, the color, any kind of swelling, any teeth marks on the side of the tongue, and any kind of coating, we call it fur, on the tongue, which can relate to dampness inside the body. We call it phlegm. And if the tongue is coated with a thick coating of fur, then we know that you're experiencing phlegm inside the body internally. So if that fur is yellow, we know it's too much heat. If it's white, we know it's too much cold being internally held in the body. And we know which pins to insert to relieve that and to release it. Now, when the needles are inserted, it's painless. Sometimes the body knows when there's something foreign coming in their body. And there's muscle fibers and certain fibers that'll actually reach out and wrap around the tip of the acupuncture needle at certain moments during the needling. And it'll cause a slight cramping or a slight twitching in the muscle. It's not anything that you're going to be screaming about. It's scary because it's your first treatment usually. And you think it's going to get worse, but it never does. And I know how to relieve that. So all you have to do is tell me, and we'll stop it. The needles will remain in the body for about 15 to 45 minutes, depending on what you're being treated for. Fertility patients must have the needles inserted and left for 45 minutes. And afterwards, you're more likely to feel very relaxed, and sometimes you even fall asleep on the table. I tell people, if you fall asleep on my table, I love it, because I hope I hear snoring. Because when I hear snoring, I know that the patient has turned loose completely and they are getting the full 100% of the treatment. After the needles are removed, which the removal of the needles is painless, you will feel very relaxed and probably want to go home and go to sleep. And I recommend that you do that. Never exercise after an acupuncture treatment. It's okay to exercise before the treatment, but not after the treatment. So tomorrow we'll be studying more about the supplements you can take to help fibromyalgia. And this morning I hope that you've learned a lot about acupuncture and the blessing that it can be for you. And I invite you and challenge you to include this medicine in your weekly treatments. God bless you all. See you soon again. Bye-bye.